suppose I just wanted to lock the audience into the experience that the men were going through. I wanted to reduce the distance between the audience and the character. I mean, I hope, even though some people will be aware it's one continuous shot, that they stop thinking after 10 minutes about what the camera's doing, and you don't become aware of it. I don't want people to think of it as a technical achievement. It's not a sort of self-advertising, it doesn't do any crazy things like go through keyholes or follow the path of a moving bullet or something like that. It's bearing witness to it. So I just felt it would be more visceral, it would be more intense and experienced to not be able to get out, to be scared of what's coming around the next corner, but know that you still have to go around the next corner, and those sorts of things. So I think that was the reason. The first challenge is that you have to measure every single set so that it's the right length. So whether it's trenches or no man's land or dugouts, burning towns, everything has to be measured before it can be built. And all of those things had to be built because they all have to interlink. So that means 8 months before, 6 months before, walking through empty fields with a script and with the actors, trying to time dialogue, judge the length of the scene, and then putting flags in the ground, and then only then starting to dig the trenches and build the orchards and this sort of stuff. So that's really complicated.
Actors don't usually get the luxury of doing it, is rehearsing. Normally you just get the job, you turn up on set, you're already standing in front of a already set up camera and you do it and that's it. Whereas this, we spent 6 months, getting to know the character, getting to know the character's backstory, and then doing months of filming. We had a good opportunity to sort of get a great understanding before we had the opportunity to film.
There was never a lead element in making these long sequences, in making the whole film. It was a constant dance between camera, set, actors, and you're all kind of facilitating each other and working for each other, and sometimes they're working for you, and it's this constant fluid handoff. And that sort of inside-outside awareness of the moment that you're playing and the truth of that moment and the technicality was an amazing lesson. And I think as well, it's the one-shot element. I think, of course, people have have been talking about and everything, but we wouldn't do interviews and kind of go, the best thing about this film was we got to be the character for as short a time as possible. It's sort of you get to do it better if you do it more. So those long sequences were actually a real pleasure.
Well, here's the thing, in the First World War, even though it's a war, obviously there's different sides and there's enemies in the fight, actually when you read and you research, very rarely were the Germans the enemies of the British, in that sense. And really it was a struggle for survival. It was the elements that really killed huge numbers of soldiers on every side. And so I suppose when Sam and I sat down to write this, we didn't want to have a conventional enemy because we don't have very much conventional about this film. And what was really important to us was this idea of getting to save somewhere. It's no accident that we wrote a war movie in which two men are fighting to stop a battle. So really the only enemy that was available to us was nature, was terrain, and was time.
The movie sort of is closer to a ticking clock thriller in some ways than it is a conventional war movie. It's not a combat film. There's not a lot of bloodshed, but it operates slightly differently, more like a thriller, as I say. It's not a particularly nationalistic film. You don't need to either know anything about World War I to understand it. All you're given at the beginning is a date, and that's it. You don't need to know anything to enter the world of the film. And I thought that was important because you want to make it feel as if it could have happened yesterday. These two men could, they happen to be British because I'm British, but they could have been German, they could have been French, Belgian. It's about the human experience of this war. And in that respect, I hope it's fairly universal.
If you like that video and want to find out more about 1917, why not check out our review or this behind the scenes featurette.